But like a road trip, you know, anyone can jump in a car and go, but not everyone's kind of got a map. And I wouldn't change the trajectory and the different chapters I had in my career, because I've learned so much at each stage of the career.
People's minds right now, Steve, just blown.
Yes,
people are like, wow,
yeah,
that's like this guy. He should have a podcast or something. On episode 369 of this podcast, we talk about navigating career changes. We talk about finding a niche or niche, depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, it's niche. But finding a niche in the marine industry, oh, that's interesting. And also leveraging personal passions for business success. All that and more in today's episode. What's up, friend? It is Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas and the Grow Your Video Business podcast. This show is for corporate and commercial filmmakers, where we talk about the business of video production. That's it, baby. Like how to grow, how to scale, how to do all the things, how to build a 6-figure sustainable business, how to build a 7-figure and beyond business. We talk about all of those things. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm in a goofy mood. I may or may not have had some caffeine not that long ago, but regardless, I'm happy that you're here. And yeah, we're just doing the things. I don't even know what that means. Trust me, we'll get into the meat of the episode here shortly. But before we do, I just want to mention that if you're building your business, if you're growing your business, if you want to kind of do something in your business that you've never done, if you want something from your business that you've never gotten, I'm going to challenge you or encourage you to check out my 6-figure filmmaker workshop. This is the culmination for me of the last 20 years of the things that I've done in my video business that have worked super well, as well as I share some of the things that haven't worked for me. And I would love for you to be able to watch that workshop and to take away nuggets that you think apply to you. And if I've learned anything, it has been that as I've surrounded myself with people in my life that are one step ahead of me or a lot of steps ahead of me, it has saved me a lot of time and energy and effort, and it has given me a perspective that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So this workshop, I hope, is that for you. I hope it's an opportunity to see a different perspective on how you might be looking at your business. And I really hope that it gives you some tools and some ways to do things way more efficient and to be able to scale and build the video business of your dreams. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can get completely free access to this workshop by going to studiosherpas.com/workshop. Okay, there it is. studiosherpas.com/workshop. I'm very excited about my guest today. This guy's become a friend. He's in our mastermind. He's been in my house. He may or may not have had one or too many old fashions when he was here. I'm just teasing. That's not true. I don't think that's true. I don't really remember. Not that I had too many old fashions. That it was my party, so I was very responsible. Yes, this and just okay. The Onward Summit, the event that I host usually in the fall, I had a bunch of people over from the summit. A bunch of video business owners came over one evening during the multi-day summit that we had. So always a good time here at the Coral House. Anyway, Steve is amazing. His story is awesome. You're going to get lots of goodness here. So let's have our full attention. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Steve, you're awesome. Let's roll your tape and let's just get into this episode. Here we go. What's up, friends? Welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me, I've got my pal, Steve Govel, who is the owner of Rising Tide Film, all the way from the down under. That's really dumb thing to say. From far away. How about that? Steve, I'm so happy that we get to hang out like this. Thank you for being on the show. Little known fact. Well, I don't think the majority of our audience has not met you yet, but I've known Steve for a little while now. He's been our mastermind, and he is a very great participant in the mastermind. really good listener and has really good ideas. We're getting prepped for the show, and I'm kind of going over our notes here. And a lot of times, one of the questions that I'll ask my guests is like, is there a leading topic or something that you would like to talk about? And they fill out like the form as they're, signing up to help out on the podcast. And most people have like, something like just, oh, we should talk about mindset or pricing or something like that. Steve gave me like 12 ideas. So this is a 14-part podcast. I'm going to bring it back a few different times. And no, I just love it. I love the way that you think. And I just really respect your perspective. I respect your perspective. Is that like a...
It's definitely a tongue twister.
Two different. Yeah. But thank you for being with us. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh man, it's very, very stoked to be here. Being in the mastermind and getting some insight into your mind and the community has been so awesome over the years. So thanks for having me. Really, really
He's also very kind. Steve, paint us a picture. Where in the world are you? What kind of video stuff do you do? Spill the beans.
Yep. So I'm in Sydney in Australia, originally from New Jersey. And my wife is from here. And so we moved to Sydney just before COVID. So my accent is a bit funny too, because I've been here for a long time. I sound not American, definitely not from Australia. So somewhere in the middle, I'm out to sea somewhere, which actually fits for what I do.
Yeah.
So I got into the marine industry. So I create story-based films and photos for marine brands, and own a company called Rising Tide Film. And so I've just been loving it. I've been through a few chapters in my career, and this one by far feels like a found thing finally. Yeah. I just love everything about it. Growing it's been amazing over the past few years, and yeah, it's just an awesome ride. It's really, really cool.
That's so good. So when you say you found it, like, what does that, like, describe that for us? What does that mean?
Well, some people had a bit of a tough time during COVID. I'm very thankful for COVID in this aspect, because it caused me to pivot the business, right? So I started out shooting weddings for a long time, like 10, 11 years, and then wanted to switch to something different. So moved on to family portraits. And I loved the people part of it, loved everything about doing those things, like just being out there and having fun and just having a great time and, love creating things. And then, nothing felt like 100%. So COVID was like, hey, you can't actually be around people or photograph anyone. So that kind of said, hey, it's time to look for something because you got to pay the bills. And I went on the job board here. I got trained in sales. I was like, what am I going to do? And found every day at the end of when I was searching for some work, when things were really kind of hectic, I would always search for like videographer or photographer. And then the first day this job was posted, it popped up, and it was like a company called Short Marine, and they were looking for an in-house content creator to build their marketing department in Sydney. And they were like, work on the water and all this, out on boats every day. And I was just like, wow, this sounds fantastic. Like, so being like the super keen, as you know, from my ideas I sent through, I was like, applied, messaged the guys directly. Can I set up a time to come meet? And chatted with them, did all the research, brought like 10 different ideas on like how I think that we could do things, as far as like, different campaigns that I'd seen, and did research about the industry all in like 2 days. And then went like fully prepared and showed the body work. I didn't have a super strong body work that was relatable to what they did, but I think they saw like, I cared about the job. I was a good person. Yeah. I came in with that like business owner mindset, which I think is really important. And and then got the job, which was like a part-time, super flexible thing. And and then has just grown like crazy from there. And that's, I think, something that I love, that I think is really valuable, and something I heard on a podcast, because it relates to this, and actually every kind of chapter that I've had in my career, is learning while you're earning. So, working with that, working for someone else in whatever capacity with the intention of starting your own business down the road. And it's a great way, I think, to like, it's so valuable. It's definitely like a longer road. It's, as an entrepreneur, I think it's humbling to work for someone else, especially when you work for yourself for the majority of your career. Because time freedom's not there. You're answering to somebody else, but in many ways, it's so awesome. Like, I found there's so many benefits in long run of doing this. And I think taking it from the beginning, it's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow at first, but
Yeah.
I think you end up at a destination that you want to go to. If your intention is set, where you want to go, you end up there a little bit quicker than you might doing it on your own, and you have like a deeper understanding and a whole different level than you would if you took a shorter road, I think. And so, like, yeah, I think the barrier to entry to get into the video industry is pretty low. Like, it's easy to jump in and start earning money. And that's great. Like, quick wins are always awesome. And I think, but like a road trip, anyone can jump in a car and go, but not everyone's kind of got a map, right? So for me, before heading out on my own, I decided to, in this industry, I decided to hitch my trailer to like a brand that was already going places, and they're destined for great things. Like the Short Marine, they're almost a top dealership in Australia and service yard, and work with the best brands in the industry that I'm interested in, which is another kind of big thing for this. To make it work is you have to be passionate and love the industry and love what you're going to do within that. So yeah, working with them has been like a supercharger for the career that I've started in this chapter. And just was thinking about like perks of the job. There's so many perks of the job. This one story. So one perk of the job is I get to interview CEOs of the boating brands, like the best boating brands in the world that they represent. And we go, meet to the factory tours, and I get to meet the whole marketing departments and all that stuff. So while I was setting up for one of these interviews, I was having a casual chat with the CEO, and cameras were rolling. It was like, me doing it solo, a 3-camera setup with audio. And it just was a wild time in there. As you do all the things when you have to.
Yep.
Yeah. And then so she just started, we were chatting, and she's lovely, like amazing person. She was like, I just love your work so much. And I've got it all like recorded too. She's like, I just love your work so much. Every time you post something, I share it with my marketing department. And she's like, we got to do this. We got to do this. And so I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So
Gold.
Yeah. So that conversation, I came back and pitched them a few ideas, because I was like, how could you not? And made sure that it was cool with the Short Marine. And because I didn't want to step on any toes, because it's important to respect people if you do this approach. And that turned into me producing and continuing to produce the biggest campaign that they've ever done as a brand, and that I've ever done in my career, which is awesome. And moments like those don't happen, I think, as easily without an arrangement or something like this. And it's the long road, and it's aligning with a brand that was already making waves in the industry, and that I'm super passionate about. You like that one? It's
Making waves.
Good little
in the
dad joke in
industry.
there.
This guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things that I like about what you're saying. Niching or niching, but I think the actual is niche. So I'll just throw that out there.
We'll roll with
but
it,
also this idea of assuming ownership, right? Whether you're working for somebody else, acting like an owner. I think even in your pitch to this woman and her team, like that's you putting on the hat of, hey, if I'm on the marketing team here and I can do what I think will be the best for our team, these are those things. When you do that, when you come across like a partner, right? Like you're linking arms with the company that you're not just pitching ideas because you think that, you're going to make a lot of money, but you say, hey, you guys, you should have a brand film, because, every company should have their differentiator piece. You should also have a recruiting piece, right? Because like everybody's always looking for the newest, best talent. And it can be kind of similar to the brand film, but, a little bit different. And then you should also have, to be able to come alongside them, tell them the kind of videos in your expertise, why they should have them and what it could do for them. That shows them that you are invested, that you want to understand their business because you've asked the right questions on the front end, and then you're providing or proposing potential ideas that could solve the problems and the issues and the struggles that they've already mentioned to you. So that's, I think, just that approach in general. Let me think like an owner here. I had a workshop yesterday. I'm trying to remember who it was that said this. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a workshop. It was a follow-up after we delivered a project to a client, and the client wants to do like one more video. He's like, this video speaks to this audience, but we also want to speak to this other audience. You guys didn't mess it up. We realized after we have this now that what we're missing is a piece for this other niche that we want to go after. So let's, can you come up with some kind of a proposal that's going to reach this other niche? And he said, can you just, assume this is your business and give me some solutions. And I'm like, dude, that's what I always try. Whenever I'm making suggestions to a business, I'm honestly, in my mind, I'm like, every business needs this video, this one. I mean, I just think that if you want a well-rounded, marketing machine for your business, these are the videos that are going to do it. So I already believe that. So when I'm sharing those kinds of things with clients, it's not like I'm just like trying to dream up a new way for them to spend money. It's like, hey, no, I think to have a really strong marketing strategy, this is what you need. And they trust you. People trust you when you can come across like you're invested, you're an expert in what you do, and you have their best interest in mind versus, just trying to make another buck.
Totally. And I think it's the fact that you do really genuinely care about their success. Like it's not just, I got to do this video project to get this money in. And, I see this huge like financial opportunity, although that is in line like with the things that you should pitch. It should still be
totally
that for you. But I think caring, like people get that. Like people say, oh, wow, this guy, like I pitched it because I came back and I was just like that one job in particular. I was like, I just spent like 2 days at your factory, met your team, met your CEO, heard the words from everybody's mouth that were like legitimate. You're an awesome company. People need to know about this. People need to know what you actually do, and you don't. And this is where it's currently you're sitting. You're not really showing that. And this also the great thing about working in-house with a company that does great things is you have these case studies of the body of work like that you've helped produce. That you say like, I got a text yesterday from the owner, and he's like, "Hey mate, look, this guy just bought this new, $1 million+ boat," and he's in the case study said like I turned around a video when we were at the boat show a couple of weeks ago. I literally edited it on the plane and sent it to them like a whole like walkthrough and did this whole narrative thing. And he's like, I've watched that video 10 times and bought this $1 million boat. And I was like, so that stuff is like invaluable. And then the especially because just this unique situation is, the big brand is seeing that the success of their distributor, and they're seeing, wow, like all this stuff is actually working, and the market's completely different here than it is in the US. It's a lot smaller, but the volume they do and the stories that we tell, they see how it works, and it's so awesome. And that does come from just that place of caring genuinely and like being excited about the work and wanting to share those things, and not just it's a means to an end kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this goes to the concept of niching down, which so many people are afraid of. I have so many chats with other filmmakers and business owners that are like, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. But when you own a marketplace, is that how you say that? When you own a market, when you own a niche, when you have a niche, you really get to understand the pain points. And then you really come across as an expert. you're not having to figure out like, what are the kinds of videos that what's a dealer going to need, and how do they talk? What are some of the keywords and phrases that they're always using? Like Steve is the perfect example of somebody who's in a niche that really you're just barely scratching the surface of being in this niche, right? You're still very new in this. And the relationships that you're building, the trust that you're building, the solutions that you're providing, you can so much more easily come across as an expert, as a guide for these clients, because you're like, listen, I worked with, this manufacturer, this boating company, and this is what they did, and this is what's working for them. So for that client to be like, okay, he's already doing it. It's not an untested market. He's not doing something for other, that can work. I can say to somebody, hey, every company needs a brand film. It's like, yeah. Okay. Well, hey, listen, your competitor has a brand film, and they're getting views, and they're getting leads, and they're closing jobs because I'm talking to them, and they share, and they want to do another video. So you can keep not having a brand film and not know, will this work for you? Or you can do what your competitor's doing, or maybe we can do something else and something bigger and better. Being in that space and really being a student of it, it helps that you love that industry too. I mean, that's
key.
So helpful. I mean, that sets you apart from everybody else. It's not just a good business opportunity, but you really do want to understand that work because you're passionate about it, you love it, and all of those things just will cement you, for this season in your life where this is the thing that's getting you fired up. Who knows, in 5 years from now, you might say, you know what, I'd rather just photograph boats, or I want to get out of the marine industry altogether. But in the meantime, for you to have like such a narrow focus, who you're marketing to, what kind of marketing you can create. I think are you launching a podcast? Is that happening? Yeah. So just talk about that. Why are you doing that? What's the focus, and what's your hope?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One is, I think it's going to allow me to tell, like, my whole mission for this business is to help, like, the marine industry businesses tell the stories, right? We live we work in an industry where, like, it's known for stories, fish stories and whatever else. Like, there's so many, and people have their best moments out on the water. With the people that they care about. And then storytelling just doesn't exist, I think, at the level that it needs to in the industry. So my idea for the podcast, which is just starting, is basically bringing on, visionaries or leaders or business owners or really interesting people within the industry, and helping to tell their story on why they got into it, how, a bit about like how they got in, where they're going with it, some valuable things for the community to hear about, maybe tips or if they're looking at doing something similar to that. And then it's just another way to, to network with people in the industry and kind of show off to not show off, but I guess be able to show people how well I can bring out their story as a business too. And it's great content for them. Like, everyone, is always looking for more, especially, because of the network that I've got in this short amount of time. Like, I have some really great influential people that already said they were keen to get on the podcast and stuff. So, it's another way to grow the business, but it's in a way that I enjoy, because I do love, having those conversations and joking around and just getting to know people and their story. And I think, it's just another way that's really valuable to everyone involved.
Do people actually say the word keen? I mean, that just sounds so cool, but like, they were keen to do that. Man, I want to start saying that.
It's definitely in the vocabulary, like heavily used around here. Yeah. I've adopted a few words.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm keen to that idea. I like that. So let me just share my horror story with a podcast. So Tell Studios, we launched in 2012. Before that, we were a wedding brand, and I almost launched a podcast or something for the wedding world, and we were pretty well known, like, in our region. And had I done that, oh my gosh, it just would have been off the charts crazy. like really good, great exposure because it's so focused, and I knew who the people were that I needed to network with. So then in 2012, we launched our corporate brand, and I said, well, I'm gonna do a podcast. This is 2016. Actually, it was a few years into the corporate brand. I want to market the business. Marketing has been kind of tough because we're just kind of appealing to everybody. So let's build a podcast. I'm going to talk to business leaders, CEOs, people that I want to do work with. And so, great idea in theory, but and then I had some incredible people on the show, like really famous, big CEOs and big marketing people at these different firms. And the problem was the show was all over the place. I mean, I was interviewing people, try to get their story, try to get, part of their origin story, and then try to get like a good business nugget for people. But the challenge was it wasn't lined up with what I was trying to do as a business. I was using it as an excuse to get in the room with, very influential people that, I thought, man, if people see that I interviewed this person, then maybe they'll hire us to do video for them. Or this person that I'm interviewing, maybe they'll hire me to do video. But I wasn't showing off any of our skill sets that came with video outside of like conducting a very good interview. But it was so not focused. It was hard to build traction. And after 20 some episodes, I just said, okay, this is dumb. This is just, it's not working how I thought it would work. I'm glad I finally realized that, hey, I should just stop this instead of staying committed to it. Then, I don't know, a year or so later, we launched another podcast with a little more focused on like, the power and impact of people and their stories. But it was still like, it was any industry, kind of very broad strokes. And I think I recorded 10 episodes. We released 9. And then I just got to the same spot. I'm like, this isn't working. This is annoying. And it was because I didn't have a focus. I didn't have a specific niche that we were serving in the marketplace. We had a specific product, which was brand films for everybody, because I believe everybody needed one. But because we weren't dialed in, like you're dialed in, it was a struggle. And here we are all these years later, we launch Enroll Films. We're working with higher ed. We're trying to tell the stories inside of higher ed and the people that are, my life was changed in higher ed. Ton of difference makers that I met throughout my career in higher ed. Oh, let's launch this brand where we market to higher ed. Hey, let's create a podcast that's called Meet the Difference Makers, where we work with, or we interview presidents and VPs, people that are, head of marketing, and like, let's get their stories, because people should hear their stories, and let's build a network of people that like get to meet Ryan and get to, be interviewed by him. And hey, if you're interested, we do the same thing, for your school. Like we could if you need a video partner, let's have a conversation offline. And it's just like the opportunities that we're getting today, the conversations we're having, the rooms that I'm getting into, like these are the people that would hire us. These are the conversations. People are seeing me as an expert. They're hearing my passion for this industry. And I just got off a call. I was on somebody's podcast that's in education space. And after, he's like, let me hit stop on this recording. So he stops the recording. He's like, man, that story, he's like, what you just, why you do this work, that's so powerful. He's like, we have an email list of like 6,000 people that are, decision makers in schools. And I definitely want to like share the work that you're doing, and, not just share this episode, but I want people to know about the work that you're doing, because we're on mission together, man. Like you want to change the world through the stories that you're telling in higher ed. And that's the same mission that we have. So we're just really excited, dude. It was amazing. And I didn't have it recorded, but it was such a great testimony to you tie a passion, something you're passionate about, to a specific industry. If you can do that, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I'm on fire right now. They feel it. If they can feel it. And, as we've had conversations, you and I, Steve, and I've been able to see the momentum that you're gaining. It's just so exciting. And I just can't not urge people, whatever stage you're in your business, to really think through, can I focus this more? Can I work with a specific industry? And it doesn't mean you say no to the other jobs. It just means that in your marketing, in the way that you talk, the people that you're trying to get in the room with, they would be from that industry. They would be the decision makers, and you would become known in that space, instead of oh, there's the video guy. He knows a little bit of everything about it, everything. I want an expert. I want somebody that really gets us in our industry.
Yeah. It's made, like, I've been doing this, since 2009. And since I started in the marine industry and really was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is what I've got to do. The feeling that you have to go to work, to produce, to chat with people on the phone, to do your meetings while you're out there, the confidence that comes out, when you talk to your clients or talk to other people about what you do, like, it's just night and day from doing something that you love, but you weren't really passionate about it. You were, just doing it because it fell in your lap and it was easy, or, you got the connection to do it. Like, it makes such a difference. And all of your clients know that too. And it's been like awesome, like getting calls out of the blue from people who just like see your work online, and everyone's talking about you while you're not there. Hopefully good things, mostly good things. But like they talk about it because they see that, your passion, and they see the work that you produce for other people. And especially if it's a little bit different, if you can kind of get in the blue ocean, if you will, which makes sense for this industry.
Gosh.
Like, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it just makes sense. Like, it's one of those things that, yeah, I'm so happy and thankful that I found it. It's been awesome.
So,
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not, the funny thing is it took that like little COVID pivot to actually put everything together, because it's not like I just never knew anything about the water and never went fishing and boats. Like, I grew up with a boat. My dad bought a boat literally when I was born, and we had it, for 30, I think he sold it when I was 30 or something. Wow. Like, and we went out, it was fish every day. We'd go fishing before school and come back. And I just, I grew up with that, being on the water, loving that, having those memories, like shaping who I was as a kid. But then, and throughout my life, like coming back home from school, you'd always like, are we going fishing? Let's go catch some stripers or go fluking or something. And then it just took this kind of to go, wait a minute, why haven't I done this before? Like, why haven't I love this, and I love creating things. Like, where was the, the mending of the two, or the melding of the two things before this? So super thankful for that.
That's what I was going to follow up with. You shared that story, and my story is very similar. I started in 2002 working full-time at the university I graduated from. I was making videos for the college, and then eventually, after my boss changed a couple of times, I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm going to start this video production company full-time, and I do a little bit of everything, over the course of almost 20 years. And it took me until this year to realize, like, oh my gosh, this is the work that we did this documentary for the university basketball coach of the university I graduated from, and I'm like, this is the work. This is what I want to be doing. And I'm just like, I'm partly mad at myself. Like, if I would have figured this out 20 years ago, I can't even imagine where we'd be at as a business today. But also, it really, it takes sometimes a slap in the face, sometimes, a pandemic, sometimes a project that you do, and you just realize, and I remembered, and I'm like, this is what I want to do more of. So my question to you, and I don't even know if you can answer it, because I think a lot of people might be annoyed and frustrated. Like, I've tried picking a niche and it's just never worked out for me. I think there's something to say for the alignment of our passions, and like kind of the bend toward, like, for me, it's higher ed. My life was changed there. I want other people to experience that. You're like, oh man, I grew up on the water. Like, how could that would be amazing. We all have things that we're passionate about. A lot of people probably could think through, okay, well, that thing, like, are there brands around that, or is there money tied into that? Like, is that an industry somewhere, somehow? So outside of doing that, like, any ideas or recommendations for people that don't have a niche, haven't settled down, haven't been able to figure that out, or maybe they do have a niche, but it's really not, their clients can kind of feel that this isn't their passion, right? So that is a little bit different. But if you could tie your niche in with something that you're super passionate about, like both you and I have found, like, any advice or ideas for people as they think through that?
You know what? I think don't rush it, right? Because
that's good.
there's so much value in every chapter of your
Yeah.
career if you know where you want to go and you're trying to be better. Like, I always immerse myself in learning new things, whether it's personal development or business stuff, or being part of groups like masterminds and stuff. And I wouldn't change the trajectory and the different chapters I had in my career, because I've learned so
Yeah.
much at each stage of the career. From like photographing weddings, you learn to make stuff work out of
Yep.
nowhere.
Yep.
You learn to make things like, you learn to make a back alley in New Jersey beautiful somehow with the bride and the groom, right? And you do it on the fly, and you do that as part of something else under the pressure, and you're dealing with people. So like, there's so much value in whatever you're doing if you just really focus on getting better at what you want to do. I think the value that you like gain, I think it's not always something that you realize right away. I
Yeah.
think as I've grown, and I'm certainly not an expert in where I am. I'm not top of the game, but I'm looking back and seeing like how everything has contributed to the work that I'm producing now and what I'm doing now, and how it's made it so much different. Everything from customer experience to how you see light, to like all the things that are and storytelling, right? I'm constantly learning more about story, and
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time, and marketing, like everything. I think picking a niche doesn't it's something that people put a lot of pressure on.
Yeah.
But I think the more that you are like, oh, I want this to work, or I'm trying to
Yeah.
find something,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I'm a big believer, right? Things happen for a reason. It doesn't always feel right when they're happening.
Yeah.
But everything can be a gift if you see it that way.
Mm.
And I think throughout the career, I was like, oh, I'm doing this. I know I'm going to do it for some time, but I'm not sure I'm going to do it forever. But I know that I'm going to learn as much as I can about this, because one day I'm going to be doing something that I really, really love, and don't want to do anything else. And I'm going to be able to bring all this, you're stacking your skills, and, external and internal skills that, people see, and then people get to experience, throughout your customer experience. I think it's super valuable. So yeah, big thing is I'm sure it will come as long as you keep looking for it. Like, not sticking with something you're not happy with. Like, keep looking,
Keep looking, and sometimes it will find you, right? So deep.
Yes.
I know. Just
Yes.
people's minds
Well,
right now, Steve, just blown. People are like,
blown.
wow,
Yeah.
that's like this guy. He should have a podcast or something. Because
Yeah. One day. No, very soon.
Steve, I'm curious. I'm actually surprising myself. I'm looking at the bullets that you sent over. What didn't we cover? Have we covered them all? Like, if we ended right now, would you be like, oh, we didn't talk about?
I think, oh man, there's always so much to talk about, but I think for this is great. I think the big thing is there's so much value if you have that long time horizon. There is so much value in finding something you're interested in, like whether that be a niche thing, and taking a bit of a longer road, because I think the depth of your work and
Yeah,
understanding and
it's good.
stuff like pays off massively in the long term. Not saying you can't get there by doing it on your own, and not working alongside of a business in that kind of capacity, but from what I've experienced, compared to other parts of my career, even though I've done something similar at each chapter, I think it's super super like helpful and amazing for your career trajectory. And it might seem like finding these people, they might seem like a unicorn, but they're definitely out there. It's just the key thing, I think, is finding the right people in the right business that you want to be, your co-pilot on the journey, right? That believe in you, that have those big goals that you can help them achieve, and that make waves in the industry that you want to be in, because that allows you to build this confidence in what you do, and have the actual results to say, like, look, this is what we did. And then people see you as that expert, and it's just like a no-brainer to work with you. And then you get to do more of what you love. What's better than that?
Yeah. Yeah. Preach. So good. Wow. I'm fired up, dude. There's some good nuggets here. I'm proud of you.
Little 7 a.m. Sydney
Oh yeah,
nuggets.
that's right. Dude, I forgot. It's like so early for you. Okay, how can people see some of the work that you're doing or follow along in your socials or get in touch with you or whatever?
Yeah, so everything's at Rising Tide Film. So on Instagram or YouTube's just kind of kicking off, but I've been a little heavier on Instagram and LinkedIn. Find me under my name, Steven Govel. And yeah, always happy to help too. And join the mastermind. Oh, is that pitch done? Sorry. Do we beat that one?
Yeah, Steve is he's in the mastermind. I interviewed Tyler recently, and I alluded to our retreat and didn't blow the whole secret on meeting Tyler in person, and just it was fantastic, and there's all sorts of memories. But yes, yeah. Mastermind, it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I think that, yeah, it does. It's just more about surrounding yourself with like-minded people who want to grow, and that whole constantly being, constantly learning and trying to be better at what you do for yourself and for your family and for your business. And Mastermind's a great way to do that. My poor kids, we just listen to podcasts in the car. There's no kids music happening. It's very rare.
Kids are all going to grow up. They're going to be forced to be business owners. So that's good.
As long as Layla doesn't start talking like Tony Robbins, I think we're pretty good. Dad. Dad, this is my stop.
Oh my gosh. You gotta get the thing. That's amazing. You gotta get the thing. That's my last piece of advice. You gotta get the thing, just couldn't come up with anything better.
Short and sweet.
Oh man, Steve, thank you, dude. So good to be with you. So fun to, just hear your story, be encouraged by the success that you've had, and just appreciate your spirit so much. And glad that we're friends. And I'm learning a lot from you. Glad you're part of the mastermind, and looking forward to another year together. See you very soon.
Thanks for having me on, buddy.
All right, friend. If you want access to the show notes, go to studiosherpas.com/369. Links, all the things, you can find them there. And if you liked this episode, let Steve know or let me know. You can do that. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you can leave a comment below and say like, hey, here's my big takeaway. This is something I'm doing in my life because of something that you guys shared, something in my business, or I hate you. Just kidding. I mean, you can say that. I don't. Do we delete those comments if we? Maybe. Don't test us. And when I say don't test us, I don't mean like I'm trying to pick a fight. Okay, I digress. My podcast editor's Alex, and he's probably thinking, what are you doing right now? Are you currently drunk, Ryan? The answer is no. I'm just having fun. Okay. So anyway, yes, feel free. You can follow me on the socials. I'm at Ryan Corral, RyanKoral. So Coral, like under the sea, but spelled totally different, Koral. So you can find me on the socials, spend time on LinkedIn. I'm trying to spend more time on Instagram because that's fun, but it always wears me out when I'm thinking about posting. So I'm going to try to do a better job of that. But also at Grow Your Video Business is on Instagram, and we're pretty active with that channel. That's all I got. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you being here and taking time to listen. I hope the show is helpful for you. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Please don't hesitate to reach out, and I will see you on next week's episode. Until then, onward and upward, my friend.